Mm-hmm. Hi everyone, I'm just pinning our title today so y'all know what we're doing. Okay, so we'll give it a couple minutes and then we'll get going. But I just wanted to make sure everything was working. Hi, Townsend Collective. I see you, Stacy. Let's see who else I'm gonna woo. I'm getting a woo-hoo. This is good. Waves. This is all very exciting. And hopefully everyone can see the title down there at the bottom. Blake Foundation Chats Live. Jay Shetty. So we'll just give, oh, there's my mom. My mom just joined. Hi, Mom. Oh, that's awesome. This is my first time doing this, so hopefully all the tech works. Yeah. Oh, let's see this. Kiana, hopefully I'm saying that right. You work at the stadium and appreciate what is, oh, that's awesome. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, part of the A and B family too. So really proud to work for Mr. Blank. My dad joined. Okay, guys, we got both my parents. So this is pretty serious. Thanks everyone for getting in the chat, being very timely. We'll get started at 2. Oh, I did pronounce it correctly. So excited. Oh, you're part of the family too. Only One Sam's. Hi, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Y'all let me know if you can hear my cats meowing in the background. I'm really hoping that's not the case. I sequestered them in a room. Oh, Kylie Blank. Hello. Hi, Kylie. Thanks for joining. Oh, there's Abby. Hello, Abby. Abby's a colleague at the Blank Foundation, so excited to see her. I'll explain who I am eventually. You'll all get to know. Oh, you want a cat cameo? We'll see if that happens. For now, I think it's best if the felines stay in their own room. But you never know. They're little escape artists. Okay, the countdown. All right, let's see, we've got more people joining. And there is Mr. Jay Shetty. So we're gonna get going. Hi, hello, howdy, salutations, friends. I'm Becca Frucht. I'm a program officer with the Arthur and Blank Family Foundation. You're, of course, on the Blank Foundation's Instagram live feed right now. And I want to welcome you to the first ever Blank Foundation Chats. And this is a weekly video series that is going to feature various wellness experts who are here to help us talk about how we can better take care of ourselves and each other during this unprecedented pandemic, this health crisis that we're all experiencing. And we at the Blank Foundation want to give y'all tips and guidance on how, to face these new challenges that we're all looking at as individuals, as communities, nationally, globally. Like, there's really folks struggling everywhere, and this is touching everyone. And luckily here at the Blank Foundation, we have some incredible partners in the well-being space that we can invite into this chat space. And we hosted a summit actually on well-being in America at West Creek Ranch, which the foundation owns. It's this incredible retreat space where we bring organizations and nonprofits together to talk about solutions and issues of social good, ways we can explore a path forward to a better world. So we're here today because more than ever, well-being and wellness matters. And we are kicking it off in a huge way. And we're so thrilled. And really every week is incredible, but so thrilled to have our first guest. So let me invite him into the live. Okay. He should be joining. He should appear. We're waiting. Here's the moment of truth.
Hey, how's it going? So nice to meet you.
Oh my gosh, Jay. Wonderful to have you joining the chat. This is such a, we're just thrilled. The foundation is, and yeah, I guess the last time we really met very briefly at West Creek, and now here we are. This is not the circumstances I think either of us would have thought would brought us back together.
Definitely not. Absolutely.
Jay,
yeah.
Share with the internets who you are, what you're about, what keeps you busy.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it's good to see you again and meeting you like this, which, like you said, I didn't expect. My name is Jay Shetty. I'm a storyteller, podcast host, and video creator, and a former monk. And I spend my life trying to learn and share the wisdom and insights that I believe can improve our lives, especially in an entertaining, accessible, and relevant way. So I get excited by how we can make insights feel really actionable and accessible in our lives, and actually start applying them to feel the difference and experience the difference.
I mean, this is perfect. I'm a former TV host. You're a former monk. This all makes sense, right?
It's great. It's great.
I work in philanthropy now, and you obviously work in this space, like you said, of how we can build awareness and use these tools that we have in our modern world to spread messages of good and well-being. And you are an ace at that. You are a master wisdom dropper. So yeah, just thrilled to have you. And of the topic, of course, that we're going to chat about is finding purpose in a pandemic. And even those words coming out of my mouth seem impossible, but here we are. So I want to encourage everyone. We have some questions we've already loaded up. Folks have been sending to us, but please, if you have questions, there's a little icon at the bottom. Click on that, add a question, and we'll have a period where we'll definitely have Jay fielding those and enjoying all the comments and the hearts that are going around Jay's face. So yeah, so kick it off. You know, it's a big topic, but you better than anyone are situated to tackle it. So.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say I loved coming out to the summit last year, and absolutely love Arthur and the Blank Foundation and all your incredible team there. And for anyone who doesn't know, from my audience that's coming and watching right now, I just want you to recognize the Blank Foundation is doing such incredible work, especially about bringing together change makers from business, from psychology, from wellness, from the economics field, like from all different fields, from media, and trying to find solutions. And that's why I love the Blank Foundation so much, and why I support it so strongly, is because I think it's a really new way of trying to field innovation and change in the world. So thank you for letting me do this. Very grateful to be here. And finding purpose in a pandemic is, yeah, you're right. It's a topic that none of us thought we'd ever be talking about. But one of the things that I've definitely found is that when we look for purpose, and I'll break down what I mean by that, purpose really is where we feel we can be of service with the gifts that we have. That's really the definition of purpose. It's what skills, what qualities, what attributes, what energy, time, resources, what do you have, and how can it help the lives of others? And therefore, searching out purpose or service is probably the only thing that you can do in a time like this that can give you a sense of meaning, that can give you a sense of belonging. So I'll give you an example. Like when this first struck out for me as well, it was the same thing. I was like, well, how can I serve in this environment? And for me, it was, well, maybe I can teach meditations that will help people find calm and peace every day. Now, granted, that isn't the most important thing. There are tons more important things that are happening right now, but it's always figuring out what can you do? And sometimes we think what we can do is too small or too insignificant, or it doesn't matter. And it's like, if we can't raise $1 million, then $1 doesn't matter. We think that sometimes. But the truth is that $1, that 1 minute, that one phone call, that one text message could make someone's day. And to them, that one message is priceless and valuable. So for me, the first answer I'd have to say is just really think about what you can do. So if I was joking. I was like, I'm not John Legend, so I can't sing from my living room, but I can teach meditation.
Who really is John? I mean,
who is John Legend?
But one.
But you know, it's like, so you've got musicians on balconies playing their instruments in Italy. You've got personal trainers going to their rooftops and teaching workouts to a whole block of apartments. You've got people raising money. You've got, you know, celebrities singing. You've got people doing everything. You've got obviously all the frontline workers who are so brave and going out there every day. And even if you're doing something tiny and you think it's tiny, I promise you it's not right now. It's really meaningful.
So thinking about how you as an individual are uniquely positioned, like what your special grab bag of talents or access or what your community might need, like being kind of thoughtful about that is one lens you can kind of use.
Yes.
Is what it sounds like. And not being, you know, I think we all, and this is something I'd be interested in your thoughts on this, is like, there's a fear of like putting yourself out there, stepping into purpose. What are your tips on sort of facing that down? Yeah,
the best way to start is to just do it for the people nearest and dearest to you, people that you speak to all the time, right? We've always heard the phrase that charity starts at home. And I think just reaching out to a friend or a family member that you know is alone, or reaching out to an elderly family member who may be going through all types of anxiety right now because of the news and what they're seeing. So you can experiment with empathy and compassion with the people that are closest to you who need it just as much as anyone else out there. And that really builds your confidence, but it also helps you understand the value of helping one person have an incredible day. The other thing you can do to break out of that fear is to recognize that this is the urgent moment. It's almost like not listening to your excuses and your fears. You convinced yourself that that was a good enough reason. Now you realize it's not a good enough reason. So this urgency of the pandemic is a great push for so many of us to be like, well, why am I not doing that? People need it, right? And like, we can see the value of it. So these pandemics or pressures can act as incredible opportunities for people to find their gifts that they can use to serve the world.
Right. It's this catalyst. And sort of pushes.
And you can partner up with someone. If you're not fully confident, you can partner up with someone who is, and work with other people who can play different roles. Sorry, you were saying I cut you off there. Sorry.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
So one thing I think you're, again, uniquely positioned to speak to, and we had some questions about this from folks around social media, right? So we're connecting right now. We have this wonderful community of folks commenting, but it can also be a drain. And it can be really hard, whether it's the news cycle or social media in particular. As someone who's an influencer, how do you navigate that and keep a healthy relationship to social media?
Yeah, so I believe that you have to curate your news feed, because your news feed is feeding your mind. And so you want to follow accounts that make you feel happy. You want to follow accounts that make you feel positive. You want to follow accounts that give you the right information that is relevant to you. And I think this is something that we can sometimes make a mistake in, is that we follow everything and everyone, and then our feed is full of everything, and that doesn't really help us. And so curating your news feed, unfollowing things that you don't want to see, following more things that you do want to see is really, really important. Also, when you see something you like, engage with it more, leave a comment, share it. The reason is because now that you do that, the algorithm's actually going to reward you by giving you more of that. So when you're engaging and interacting with something that is of value to you, and you're passing it on or commenting, you're now going to see more of that. The other thing I'd say is make sure that there are times and zones in your home where you do and don't use technology. So I believe
this is so smart. I watched your video on this.
Oh, good.
The zoning your home, and like location has energy and time has memory.
Yes.
And I was sitting in my kitchen on my work computer with like a sandwich in my mouth, like probably about to take a nap. And I was like, oh, Jay, you're so right. And I realized that because right now a lot of us are stuck at home, and that space is getting so mixed. And it creates it's really tough to center yourself.
Yeah, and specifically with social media, just don't wake up to social media. Like, don't wake up to that, because imagine your mind's been asleep for 7 or 8 hours. Hopefully, by the way, please get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Once you've had that 7 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep, and you wake up, your mind's at this like peaceful rest. If you imagine what your mind looks like, it's so calm, and then all of a sudden you expose it to like alerts and notifications and
just
pings.
like whiplash.
Just whiplash. Literally, it's like whiplash. And that's why we call it an alarm. Like, who wants to wake up? Like, first of all, it shouldn't be called an alarm. Yeah. And it's like, who wants to wake up? Like, no one would want to wake up to a fire alarm. No one would want to wake up to an alarm like that. But you're doing that to your mind. So when we're talking about social media specifically, my advice is don't use social media just when you wake up and just before you go to bed. Use it sparingly in between. And then use social media to put out good into the world rather than get consumed by what's there.
Yeah, and to this, to our topic about purpose, you know, I imagine there's a lot of inspiration you can find in what's going on online, and so follow those folks, and hopefully they, like you said, then you don't feel alone in thinking about, well, this is something that I'm interested in doing that feels meaningful and purposeful to me, and watching other folks do that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Being really smart about the curation piece of it. Well, let's see. We've got like some questions here too. I want to like bring in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Oh, this is an interesting one. So, any tips on being critical and independent thinkers during such a confusing and uncertain time?
Yeah, this is tough because it's almost, you need to be informed, but not inundated, right? It's like, that's the balance. It's like you need to stay informed but independent. That's the right way of looking at it. So it's important to know where you get your news. So the first thing I'd say to everyone is, you know, make sure that you're getting news from sources that is actually relevant to you and your family and your friends. Right now, it's not important to you if something is happening halfway across the world and now you're just reading about it just because you're now in the COVID news cycle. And so be really mindful about it and be like, okay, is this affecting my family? Is this affecting my friends? If it's not, I don't need to absorb myself in it. But get informed at specific times every day, whether it's you're looking at updates from the CDC, whether you're looking at updates from a trusted source, or you're getting someone messaging you. Make sure it's not just being on these chats and threads where you're seeing messages like this all day with updates from around the world. That's going to give you too much. So it's important to be informed but independent. And when you're saying being independent at this time, what that really means is to set your own boundaries and precautions that are above and beyond what may be the law or what's required right now, but what's right for you and your family. Like, don't feel guilty if you're taking this more seriously. I think a lot of people are like, oh, maybe I'm like getting too OCD about this, or and it's like, no, that's a good thing. If that makes you feel safer, if that makes you and your family feel safer, that's fine right now. Like, it's better to be safer than to take a risk and not follow the rules and what we're hearing out there. So I would say that your independence should increase how much care you're taking in this situation, as opposed to start breaking rules and testing them. So, you know, I know, for example, that a lot of hikes and trails in our area in LA have been closed. And so if it's been closed, don't go there. Like, there's no need to try and be outdoors. There's no, like, it's so important to follow the rules, but your independence should make you follow the rules better, not worse.
You know, we hadn't talked about, I feel bad that I didn't ask how your social distancing and quarantine is going. I mean, this is an individual experience for us all. And how has that been for you? I'm kind of like WWMD. What would a monk do in the pandemic?
Yeah, I've been home for 4 weeks with my wife, and it's been really interesting. I've found a really strong routine that really helps me. And I've been sharing this a lot on some of the news appearances and everything that I've been doing, because I think it's helping people a lot. So I've been doing a routine that I call time. It's from my time as a monk, and it's spelt in the word time. So T stands for thankfulness. I think finding time every day to be thankful is really useful, and that's been really important to my practice. And don't just feel thankful, express it. So send a voice note to a friend, send them a video, write them a letter. Like, now's the time where you have the time to do that. And if you really want to go all out, this is my favorite bit. Go into your photo gallery, which probably has 32,789 pictures in it that you never look at. Yeah. Go inside and make an album of a vacation, a memory, a trip, anniversary, a wedding, whatever it is that you went to, and send it to that person. Just imagine how much that person's going to appreciate that right now. So a moment to be thankful. The I in time stands for inspiration. Find inspiration every day. So I like reading books. I like reading quotes. I like reading thoughts that keep me positive, or listening to podcasts. It's a great way of keeping positive. M stands for meditation. I really recommend taking a couple of minutes every day just to breathe and just to relax yourself. And E stands for exercise, movement, whether it's dance or a workout, you know, a virtual workout, whatever works for you. But for me, doing that routine has really given me stability. And me and my wife had to adapt because we're both entrepreneurs, but right now, like me and her are both in the home all day.
Yeah, you're really like up in each other's grills right now.
Totally. And I really understand that. And my, you know, we literally, I'd say a week into quarantine, had to have a really important conversation. And we were talking about our barriers, talking about our boundaries, talking about what we needed, talking about what support. And we had to re-communicate what we expected of each other during this time. So we've already set our expectations in our relationship pre-quarantine. But guess what? A lot has changed in this time. And so it's normal to have to sit down with your partner and say, well, what are we expecting of each other in this time? How can I be helpful to you? And how can you be helpful to me? Mm-hmm. And I think having that conversation with your significant other, your family members, your children is so valuable, because we have to realize that this is new and this is different. So the same rules as you applied before won't help you right now. You've got to come up with some new rules.
Mm-hmm. So have you seen, it's like your purpose shift in this time? Like, has there felt like a discernible, you know, change in how you're approaching your work, or does it really just feel amplified what you've always done?
It's the second. I feel like it's amplified what I've always done, and which it's one of these paradoxical things. It's you don't want people to go through any pain, but pain makes us focus on wanting to find solutions. And
no, hope my internet comes back. Jay, are you still there? Sorry, I'm having... Oh my God. All right, y'all, we'll see if Jay comes back in. We might have had a little technical glitch here. It's typical. We're always like prepared for big changes right now in our world. He's back. Okay, give me 1 second, friends. Let's see. Let me find if he requests. Jay, if you request, I can probably find you quicker because we got a lot of folks in here. Let's see. Working through it, y'all. Working through it. Found it. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm figuring this out. There we go. Jay's going to be back any moment now. Hopefully he will pop back up.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, I have no idea what happened there, but this is...
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, I figured like there's got to be a glitch, right? I mean,
it's fine. These things happen. Yeah, there's so many people live right now as well. But yeah, I think going back to that, it's heightened in the sense that more people are wanting to turn towards mindfulness and meditation and get routines, and that's, I think, the silver lining, the glory at this time. And by the way, I've had 30 friends back in London who've experienced mild to severe symptoms of COVID-19. I've had 4 people in my extended community that passed away. So I know that people are dealing with real loss right now. So I'm not saying what I'm about to say with no context of that. I get that and I'm there. But I also want us to realize that the fact that so many people are turning towards these practices right now is going to create a world that we all want to live in, like a world that's more compassionate, more intentional, more mindful, more focused, more loving. Like, I think all of us, for the first time in human history, everyone is dealing with the same challenge at the same time. Yeah. That increases our empathy and compassion. And if we can hold on to that, then when we leave this period, we're going to walk into a world that we really want to live in, because as humans, we will have connected in the most beautiful way. So I'm optimistic about that. I'm enthusiastic about creating that. So I feel that people turning towards building the right habits and learning new skills and developing themselves is a great thing to do right now.
Well, that brings up a question and I'll pull it up. It was actually from somebody's friend, Beck Nash, sent it in from Australia. And let me see if I can find it here. And it's basically this idea of like, you know, you talked about that you understand that folks are struggling. So there's also like, can feel this inherent privilege in the pandemic that we are seeing. So how do you handle if we want to pursue bettering yourself, you want to work on yourself and develop, but you also know that there are people who are hurting and dying, and it's hard to balance that and navigate it. And understanding that our most vulnerable too, right, are suffering the worst in this pandemic. So how do you navigate that? It's tough.
Yeah, I think it's really important to, I always feel that if anyone is privileged or in a position of any sort of influence, we have a responsibility to serve those who are struggling right now in whatever way we can. And so extending yourself, whether that's through time, money, energy, resources, skills, that's how you help out. You can't feel guilty for being safe. You shouldn't feel guilty for being healthy right now. Like we shouldn't guilt and judge ourselves, but at the same time, we shouldn't just sit there. We should try and see how we can give back. And I think that's the balance that we need, is don't judge yourself or guilt yourself for being healthy or safe or being in a privileged position, but then use that as a responsibility to help others and to serve back, because that's the greatness. And the thing is, we all need each other at different times. So, you know, some of us may be healthy and fortunate right now, but that could be different in 5-10 years time. And so it's about serving and helping each other and being connected. And actually in giving, we receive. We've always known that, you know, that statement of in giving, you truly receive. You know, for all of us who also we might be safe, but we may be lacking purpose, and we may be lacking community, and we may be lacking connection. Going out there and helping people is going to give us that too.
Yeah. So channel your opportunities into that purpose.
100%.
And see it as as an opportunity and not necessarily something so I think that is a tough thing that we're all, you know, struggling with. Let's pull up another question from our folks here who are watching. Let's see. We've got lots of questions, which is so exciting.
Great.
Yeah. All right. So I have to like some of these. I'm like, that's not totally relevant. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay. What are the biggest life lessons we can take away as a society from all of this?
Yeah, I think one of the first ones is to really just become aware of, if you didn't know it, now it's become literal, that your actions affect other people. Now, this has always been true, that your behavior, your energy, your actions, your words affect other people. We teach this in school to kids, right? Mm-hmm. Like that your behavior and your actions affect other people around you. But as we grow up, we forget that how we talk to the Uber driver, how we talk to the, the barista at Starbucks, how we speak to our parents, we kind of, in our daily busy hectic lives, we forget that our words, our actions, our behavior affects people around us. And today, your behavior could take someone's life, right? Like it could get to that extreme. So I think one of the biggest life lessons we can take is you matter, and that your actions, behavior, words affect other people positively or negatively. And that is your choice, to choose to be good energy for people. And even if you can't be good energy, to not take away or drain them of any of it. And so I think that's one of the biggest life lessons that we can learn right now. I believe that another life lesson we can learn right now is to recognize that we can never control what's happening around us. And again, that's always been the case. We can't control what's happening around us, but we can control how we react and respond and feel about what's happening. And that's the part that's in our control. So we've often heard it, whether it's from Covey in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He talks about how you have a circle of influence and a circle of concern. The circle of concern is things you can't control, and the circle of influence is things you can control. So instead of, what we usually do is we spend so much of our energy thinking about all the things we can't control, and that just creates stress, anxiety, and depression potentially. But when you focus on what you can control, it gives you confidence and self-esteem and enthusiasm. So I would say another lesson we're learning is, let's focus on what we can control. And probably want to add one more life lesson that I think we can learn from all of this is that we think we need a lot of things, but most of them are just wants. In times like this, you really understand what you really need. And for most of us, it's love, it's health, and it's care, right? Like that's what we really need in life. When you look at, like we may be working for so many things in our life. We may be ambitious, and those are beautiful things. I'm very ambitious. I think it's great. But it's in times like this where you realize, what do you really need in life? And you become really grateful for your family, your parents, your kids, your home, your shelter, your food, just basic necessities that are really where the joy in life comes from.
Yeah, I've been just inspired by how community has really risen to the top of needs, right? Like that's something that we talk about a lot, but watching how, each of our communities are coming together right now is really beautiful.
Yeah.
You're back.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's a beautiful point. And you can just see the best of humanity at these times. Like you literally see the best of humanity. You see, I really applaud the bravery of anyone on the front line. And that includes anyone who's still working, in my opinion. It's the doctors, it's the nurses, it's the healthcare workers, and it's also the people doing all of our deliveries, stocking the shelves, like making sure that groceries are available. Like, I mean, we could all not have any food right now if those people didn't go to work. So I think just recognizing how amazing it is that people are so brave and people are so courageous, and that should fill us with bravery. For those of us who are at home, who've been asked to stay inside, like that should fill us with courage.
So I've seen a couple of questions on this, and I was interested too. What's entertaining you right now, or what's got your attention? Is it a book? Are there some shows you're watching? I mean, we're not trying to become streaming zombies, but I know folks are looking for inspiration, whether it's literary or otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. So books are always great. I'm actually looking at my bookshelf so I can pick one off that I've been really diving into recently that I think would be a good recommendation and a positive one. I recently interviewed, I'll just grab it. I recently interviewed Lori Gottlieb on my podcast, and her book's called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. And it's all about therapy and relationships, and it's going to be made into a TV show with Eva Longoria, I know who's creating it. So it's called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. She was on the podcast with me a week ago. Absolutely phenomenal interview. Really incredible. She's just really smart, really great insights, especially right now. I feel like a lot of people could do with that therapeutic approach to their life and their mind. And this is one more. I'm going to go grab it again.
Everyone wants to actually see your bookshelf. Can we get a shot?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So this is my bookshelf.
Well, it's great decor, regardless of the content. It looks wonderful. Oh, but
yeah,
you get to climb up on it and move it around.
No, the ladder is far. Well, yeah, I don't need it to get to the top, but it does help. But the ladder is far more decorative than it is. But yeah, this is my bookshelf.
Very cool, though.
Yeah, this is my bookshelf. And this was another one that I read, which was more entertainment. So I got the fortune of interviewing Alicia Keys, who's amazing, a couple of weeks ago on my podcast as well. And her book, More Myself, has just come out. And I deeply enjoyed this. Now, whether you're a deep fan of Alicia Keys or whether you just know of how amazing her voice is and her music is, the book's just really beautifully written. You get a really deep dive into what it feels like to live like a growing artist, the challenges of it. It's just really beautifully written, and you get a really intimate look at someone who's really famous and admired and what that looks and feels like on both sides of the glory and the hardships. And so, yeah, those are two great books. I also am so I have not played video games for years, and I purposely don't play video games because I find them addictive, and I feel like you can waste a lot of time playing them. But seeing as I have more time, I've reconnected with my inner nerd and child in playing video games, and I love it. So I play a lot of sports games. I'm a big sports person. So seeing as I can't watch sports at the moment, I thought at least I can play video game sports. I'd love to play outdoors, but I can't do that either. So I've been playing FIFA, which is a football soccer game. I'm from London, so that's my first love. And I've also been playing NBA 2K. Those have been great ways of passing.
The Blank Foundation is pretty big on soccer.
I know, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like, playing those games has been a great way of also, the great thing about them is you can play online with friends and people all
Right.
across the
That
world.
online
So
community.
yeah, it's another way of feeling not alone and being virtually connected. That's been great. And then I'm a big movie person more than TV shows. Me and my wife love The Morning Show with Jennifer Aniston. We're big fans of The Morning Show. But from a TV perspective, I don't know how I haven't seen this movie. It's old, but I saw it recently and I keep going on about it. We saw Saving Mr. Banks recently. I don't know if you've seen it. It's
Oh, I have. Is that Disney?
Yeah,
Right?
so it's Tom
Yeah.
Hanks, and it's the
Yeah. Well, I
story
mean,
of
Tom Hanks, national treasure.
literally, yeah. Tom Hanks is amazing. I love everything Tom Hanks is in. But this, yeah, the movie Saving Mr. Banks, if you haven't seen it, is the story of how Walt Disney acquired Mary Poppins, the story. But it's so much better than that, and it's beautifully told. It's a great movie. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing: video games, a couple of shows, and mainly that, but and books, of course. But yeah, I think whatever works for you right now, you've got to give yourself. I was talking about someone the other day that I kind of feel like there's a few steps that we're all going to experience. I'm just thinking out loud here, but I think the first step that most of us experience is anxiety when we first found out about this. It was like we were full of anxiety. Then the second step for a lot of people was anger. It was like, God, why is this happening right now? I've got so much happening, or anger that their lives were going to change, or anger that their family was at. And that's normal too. And then after that anger, you kind of get to a place of acceptance where you're like, all right, this is just what's happening and I have to deal with it. And getting there is not, there's no like magic wand. You've got to get there in your own time. And then the next step is adjusting and adapting. It's like, okay, let's adjust and adapt. This is where you're going to do everything you don't want to do. You may stay up late every night. You may play video games for 8 hours. You may be lazy and sleep in bed all week. Like you're going to do everything that you're going to judge yourself for. But guess what? That's adjusting and adapting, and it takes time. And finally, you're going to get into action where you're going to find your routine. You're going to find your flow. And that's just a very natural arc that all of us as humans will take.
Yeah.
And the point is to not judge yourself, but let yourself go through each of those phases and recognize that there's a phase after this. And so I really think those are the phases that my mind put it into. It was anxiety to anger to acceptance, and then adjusting and adapting, which feels like the longest phase because that's the one that takes the most mixing. And then finally feeling like, okay, I'm in a routine and I'm doing this and I feel like I'm powering forward. So don't judge yourself, don't guilt yourself, give yourself that time.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is we're all going to be on different timelines, and understanding, and that's what can be tough about social media is watching somebody else who you think is like, and this is ridiculous, but you're like, wow, they're really slaying their quarantine.
Yeah.
They're doing so well. And it's just a comparative game that nobody wins.
Yeah.
And just being gentle with yourself, like you were speaking to, and what you were describing, it made me think about the stages of grief.
Yes.
Which I've seen some folks talking, like thought pieces on that, which we're all, I mean, collectively, to your point, like this is an insane experience, but globally we're experiencing grief together.
Yes, exactly. And so you have to heal that, and you can't, I was speaking to a therapist and doctor called Dr. Ramani on my podcast last week, and she was saying that, she's talking about how it's important not to look down on anyone else's grief. And we were talking about how it's important not to belittle anyone else's pain. Mm-hmm. So for example, like you may have a child who's missing prom or graduation, and you may be thinking like, why are you upset about that? Like there's people dying out there. But the truth is that for that person, that is the biggest thing they were looking forward to. And mm-hmm. It's important to let that person feel like that pain is valid, because it's when we invalidate other people's pain is when they continue seeking validation for the rest of their lives for other things, because mm-hmm. no one validated that pain for them. And so I think it's really important to not invalidate people's pain, even if it seems really small to you. It could be really, really big to them, And so whether it's replanning a wedding or a vacation that was missed, or even if it's something really tiny to you, it could be huge for them.
And this kind of brings up a silly question, and I think having levity in this time is important. But I'm wondering if you have a crisis crush, because for me, like my crisis crush is my pets. My pets are like the thing that is like they're my heroes right now. I also have a crisis crush on John Krasinski for the Some Good News Network.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Which is awesome. Is there anyone or anything that is really shining for you right now in this challenging time?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think, what have I been? I definitely think yeah. Yes, the SGN, the Some Good News is really good. So definitely been enjoying that. I'm trying to think, who else have I really been feeling like is doing a great job at this time to serve and support?
I mean, it could literally be your stretchy pants. Like my stretchy pants has
Oh,
been
right. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
anything you want.
To be honest, I have to say it's my wife.
Oh,
My wife has just been incredible in my whole life generally, but even more so now, making sure I'm exercising, making sure I'm eating healthy. She's always on my case in a good way, like not in a pressurizing way, but in a really beautiful best friend kind of way of like caring about my health and well-being. And she's been great. She makes sure we work out together every day, and it's a lot of fun actually. We don't ever work out together. So this has been the first time we've ever worked out together, and I've been really enjoying it. So yeah, I'd have to say my wife.
oh, that's awesome. Is there something that the number one thing that's kind of on the horizon for you when the era of social distancing is done and we're safe to convene? What are you so excited about doing?
I think the biggest thing for me is, so my book was meant to come out 2 days ago. It's called Think Like a Monk, Train Your Mind for Peace and Purpose Every Day. It's been delayed till September 8th. So anyone who's pre-ordered, thank you so much. But sorry, you have to wait till September 8th. That's because books are considered non-essential goods right now, and they're not really getting out, and there's so many delivery schedules. So the publisher...
Ooh, I would argue that, but I understand where
yeah,
it's coming from on a production side. But I think we all understand how art has like boomed
absolutely,
us.
absolutely. So the book is then, and I was excited. I was meant to be going on a book tour and a media tour, so I'm really excited to be back across the world touring and meeting everyone and seeing the book serve people. I think the book's going to really help people after this period move into the new world that we're going to be living. The book's called Think Like a Monk, and I think everyone's experienced what it feels like to live like a monk for a bit right now in solitude. And I think the book will help strengthen a lot of those muscles that we've started to develop right now.
Yeah, so even though it is tough timing, it's kismet in that it has even more, it will resonate even more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what I love about wisdom, that wisdom's timeless. Like, you just used the word kismet. Like, kismet's been around for like 5,000 years. And it's as relevant now as it was 5,000 years ago. And that's what I love about wisdom, is that it's truly timeless, it's universal, and it's accessible to everyone. And so that's why love matters so much right now. That's why community matters so much right now, because these things are all wisdom. They're not trends. They're not fads. They're not... I know one of the incredible people I met through the Blank Foundation was Dr. Robert Waldinger, and his studies at Harvard.
Yeah, he'll be doing one of our chats.
Amazing.
Too.
I love him. So I'm going to steal his headline, which he taught me about when he came on the podcast. And, in the 75-year study that he completed at Harvard, the number one thing was all about human relationships. That's wisdom, because it made sense 75 years ago, and it made sense now, and it will always make sense. So those are the things that we have to hold on to. Is the timeless things, and so yeah, I'm grateful that everything's happening at the right time, and my prayers and best wishes definitely go out to anyone who's suffering or lost someone, because in that it's very hard you can't find joy and happiness, and then you have to look for meaning and celebration of those people at those times, and the gratitude that you got that person for that time in your life, the celebration that they loved you so much. Those are the things that hold you on and help you in those times.
I was thinking too about when you say purpose, sometimes purpose can seem like really lofty and intimidating and big. And it's just like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on just like when you're trying to navigate between the big purpose and maybe just like purpose for a day, like taking those little steps, like that seems like part of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think really what we have to do is just pursue our passion and potential, and whatever right now makes sense. Like, your purpose is something that evolves, it grows, it expands, it's always changing. And so you don't want to you don't want to like try and latch onto it, because you can't. But what you want to focus on is, what can I do today to serve people? What can I do today that makes me feel more confident in helping people with this skill, with what I have? And that's why there's two parts to it. One part is growing your skills, and the other part is serving through your skills. So you always can ask yourself, what do I need to learn, and what do I need to give? And if you're always asking yourself those two questions, what do I need to learn and what do I need to give, then you'll keep going. And then when you run out of things to give, that means you need to learn. And when you've learned too much, then that means you need to give. And so if you get bored of learning, that means it's time to give. And if you've got tired of giving because you've been giving so much, you need to learn. And so for me, I'm always trying to shift between those two.
Oh, that's such a helpful balance. And like, and I think having some kind of like a tool or something to think about. I think what you've presented there is, it's a dance.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when you go bowling and you have the two barriers up on the other side when you're not so good at bowling. And it's kind of like that, like one's learning and one's giving. And it's like, that just keeps the ball in the middle, like it keeps you in the middle. And then when you get really good one day, you don't need those anymore. And you can just roll those strikes. But if you try and roll that strike on the first day you went bowling, we all know that it ends up in the gutter. And so having like learning and giving. And so if you feel like you're drained and you've just been giving so much and you're tired, you need to learn and you need to focus on yourself. And if you've been learning for years and you're thinking, well, I know all this stuff, but what am I doing with it? Go out there and share it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there a mantra or motto? Like if you had to give a motto or slogan for this experience we're all going through, and for you personally, is there something that keeps you going or maybe it's an inspiring quote? Yeah,
absolutely. I think let me check. Oh, it's on my phone. I was like, oh, let me check, and I was like, oh, wait, I'm on my phone. I really think that reminding ourselves that we are strong and resilient, and whether it's a simple affirmation of I am strong, I am powerful, I'm resilient. I think these are brilliant affirmations to share with ourselves, because it's in pain that we discover our potential, and it's in pain we figure out how powerful we are. And so actually right now, yes, it's hard, but you're going to figure out how tough you are at this time. And I think that's the beautiful thing about these moments. And so I think connecting to the strength within you, connecting to the power within you is a good thing, because it always reminds you that it's something you always have and no one takes it away. No situation takes it away. And recognizing and reminding yourself of that really helps you move forward.
Yeah, that's a powerful mantra, that pain is potential.
Yeah, pain is where you find your power. Pain is where you find your potential. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. So I've had you for over 30 minutes. I don't want to like take up too much more of your time. How are we doing on time? You have to run. You got like a FIFA challenge on video games.
I have to go in a few moments, not because I want to. This is such a beautiful conversation. I'm loving it. So, but just because, I've been trying my best to. We've been, my focus has really been. We're also doing a lot of meditations with healthcare workers and things like that. So I'm trying to fill my day with. I'm trying to fill my day with as much as I can be putting out there. We're creating a lot more content that's helping people at this time. A lot of interviews. In the past 2 weeks, we've interviewed with doctors and therapists to support people through COVID for the podcast. So just been really trying to create that. So that's the only reason why I have to go. But apart from that,
totally
this is so wonderful.
Yeah, you've been so generous with your time and your wisdom, and we really appreciate that. So make sure and tell folks where they can find, all of the things, Jay Shetty, that you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram here at Jay Shetty. It's as simple as that. And right now, I think one of the ways that I'm really trying to serve people is through my Instagram feed, but through my podcast, On Purpose. So if you're not a listener, go and, go to the iTunes app, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, any platform. And we're On Purpose with Jay Shetty. We have guests from scientists, neuroscientists, all the way through to people, incredible people like Alicia Keys, and through to thinkers that will help you live a better, more healthy, and more well-being based life. So that will hopefully support you this time.
Yep. And then you have the book coming out soon.
Yes.
That will happen.
Yes, exactly.
That's on the horizon.
Yeah,
it's important to have all those things that we're excited and hopeful for.
For sure.
Well, Jay, thank you so much for kicking this video series off. We're going to be doing this once a week. So all y'all who joined, please come back to Blank Foundation page next Thursday. There'll be more information coming up. Jay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Everyone who's watching, please go follow at Blank Foundation, because like I said, I'm a big supporter of their work, and they truly, truly live and breathe everything they talk about, and they're really trying to find incredible solutions. And the foundation and everyone on the team, from Dr. John Bear and all the others, are just incredible human beings. So if you're watching right now, it would mean the world if you go and follow at Blank Foundation. It will keep you up to date on just, revolutionary change-making ideas that maybe one day you'll be able to be a part of too. So yeah, go follow
Yeah.
them at Blank Foundation.
Thanks so much,
Awesome.
Jay. Thanks for being part of
Thank
the
you.
family.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Yeah.
Stay safe
Appreciate
and
it.
sane and
Take
all
care.
that good stuff.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Bye, everyone, for
Bye,
joining.
everyone. Thank you.